إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد أما بعد. All praise due to Allah and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions and his followers until the day of judgment. I bear witness that Allah is the only one worthy of worship and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam his last and final messenger. A man came to Imam Malik rahimahullah in Medina and he said, "Oh Abu Abdullah, where do I start my ihram from?" Ihram is the state that you entered when you're about to do Hajj or Umrah. You put a certain type of clothes and you pronounce the beginning of your ritual. He replied, Dhul Hulayfa, where the Prophet ﷺ started his ihram. The man said, Dhul Hulayfa, it's a place outside of Medina. قال من أين أحرم؟ قال من ذو الحليفة حيث أحرم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The man said, I want to start my ihram at the masjid where the Prophet ﷺ grave is. Malik said, don't do it. قال مالك لا تفعل الرجل يريد أن يحرم من عند بيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أو قبره. I fear that you may be falling in fitna. قال لا تفعل إنما أخشى عليك الفتنة. قال يا إمام رحمك الله وأي فتنة هذه في أميال أزيدها. Fitna, it means trial. It's to be misled, something lead you to something devastating. So the man said, and what fitna is this? It's only few miles, I will add it. Malik rahimahullah said, what's a greater fitna than a one where you see yourself racing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to a virtue that he fell short of? Then he said, I heard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and he recited the verse in Surah An-Nur, فَلْيَحْذَرِ الَّذِينَ يُخَالِفُونَ عَنْ أَمْرِهِ أَن تُصِيبَهُمْ فِتْنَةٌ أَوْ يُصِيبَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. And let those who oppose the messenger's commandment be aware, he recited the verse, which it means, let those who oppose the messenger's commandment be aware lest some fitna, trials befall them or painful torment be inflicted on them. So last week we spoke about, in the last sermon, last khutbah, we talked about the dangers of innovations in religion and the adverse consequences of it. We mentioned last week that all the deeds that have been based on innovation have been rendered in vain and useless. We said that the innovator will be held responsible for his or her fault and the faults of all those who followed him or her. Bid'ah might prevent its perpetrator and initiator from advancing to the pool of the Prophet ﷺ in the day of judgment. And also, it might block the person from receiving the intercession of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. We mentioned that innovation is the prelude to kufr. إن البدعة بريد الكفر كما قال العلماء. Al-bid'ah simply lead to hellfire. Al-bid'ah is the cause behind division and discord in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Innovations in religion is the cause for the sunnah to be removed. We spoke about all this last week. Just a reminder. And one of the most dangerous points was that it caused the sunnah to be removed. And the authority of Hudayfa radiallahu anhu ardah, that once he gathered his students and he said, can you see the moon? It was a full moon, very clear sky. Then what he did, he raised two rocks and pressed them against each other like this. He pressed them against each other. And then he asked them, can you see the light coming through from between these rocks? They replied, Ya Aba Hudayfa, we only see very little light coming through. He replied, by the one in whose hand is my soul, innovations will be so widespread that that will cause the truth to be hidden, so that all can you see remaining of the truth is similar to the small amount of light you see coming through the cracks between the two rocks. Wow. قال لن يبقى من الحق لن يبقى من السنة لن يبقى من الدين إلا كما ترون من النور بين هذين الحجرين. By Allah, innovations will become so popular that when an innovation is left, people will say the sunnah was left. That's quite scary, isn't it? That's a quite concern. After knowing about all the evilness of the bid'ah and the innovations of religion, then you come to know that it became so widespread. It became a big concern for any sincere Muslim, Take in consideration that al-bid'ah تكثر وتنتشر في أماكن وأزوان وأزمان وأحوال دون أخرى. Al-ulama stated that innovations in religion became so popular in certain places, certain time, certain situations more than others. For instance, they said bid'ah is so popular in a place where Muslims are not majorities. That's something been said hundreds of years ago. Innovations in religion will be so popular the farther we go from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. The innovations in religion will become so common in a community where Arabic language is something people not familiar with. That's why al-bid'ah takthur fil a'ajib, takthur ma'al ujma. The innovations in religion, as Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, when he was asked why there are so many innovations, قال لما غيب لسان العرب وغلب لسان العجم. He said when the tongue, the pure Arabic tongue disappeared and people, they are not familiar with it anymore. That became the reason for innovations to be so popular. One of the things that the ulama said, the reason for innovations to be so popular, قِلَّةُ الْعُلَمَاء وَنَدْرَتِهِمْ. When there is few scholars left in the community or in the Muslim ummah. When the people have no easy access to knowledge. And so many others. But isn't that unique? That each and every one of these reasons apply to us here in America, apply to us in our community 100%. That means we are here as a community, living as a minority. This is something should be of concern, be a big concern for us, because all the reasons that the scholars talked about in the past, why the innovations became so popular, very applicable to our situation today. So, the $1 million question would be, Sheikh, what is bid'ah? How can I, as an average Muslim, a person who come to the masjid, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, recognize innovations and innovators, so I can stay away from it and from such people? How can you simplify this to us? And that's what I would like to share with you on this sermon. First, al-ulama defined innovations in a very unique way, very specific way. The Muslim theologian and the Muslim jurist have defined bid'ah by mentioning 5 things that if they are all together exist in an act, that act will be classified as an act of innovations in religion. They said, number 1, the innovation is an acts that are intended to be act of worship and a way of seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and perform ritually. قالوا البدعة هو ما تدين لله به إذا تفعل بقصد العبادة والطاعة لله. So it's an act, something that you do, and you intend by doing it that it will bring you close and near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you don't do it with that intention, it is because it's a habit, it is because it's a culture, it is because, you know what, I like that. Nothing wrong with that. But if you start doing it because a ritual, because of religious reason, that will be an innovation in religion. I give you an example. If you start wearing certain colors and saying, you know what, wearing, for example, green shirts, green turbans, it is something more beloved to Allah, something you will get reward for it. If you say, if I wear this type of quality of clothes, that will be more righteous, that will bring me closer to Allah, that will be an innovation in religion. But if you wear that color because that's your favorite color, you wear that type of clothes because you like it simply, you like it and you feel comfortable with, that's fine. So that's where it will differentiate between what we call culture, adat wa ibadat. Also, sometimes it's unique to know that there is it will also help you to differentiate between what you call sin and what we call innovations in religion. And I give you a true example. We have people, for instance, that they will kill, they will steal in the name of Islam. They will kill innocent people, they will steal the people's money, and they said this is for the sake of Allah. This is not anymore an innovation. This is not anymore just a sin, a simple sin of theft. It became a theft, a sin of stealing, and another sin of making this an innovation to religion. Because he did that with the intention of worshipping Allah by such act of violence against others. They said also, an innovation can be in matters that have no basis in the religion. So something has no basis at all. Somebody invents something. Like for example, one of the famous innovations, the celebration of the Prophet ﷺ's birthday. There is nothing for more than 500 years in Islam. For all our history, 500 years almost, not a single scholar ever mentioned something it called celebrating the birthday of Islam. None of the Imam Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi, Ahmad, their immediate students ever spoke about such thing. Companions, successors, for generations and generations, nobody knows what is that concept as, until a Kurdish ruler started this practice, picked by some extreme Shia states in Egypt in the Fatimid time. Then it became so popular in the Muslim world, but has no base in religion. We don't have a base in religion of anything it called celebrating the birthday of somebody or celebrating in that format, which is al-mawalid. This is absolutely innovation, has no base in religion. Similar to it, what some people invented in making dhikr or worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through dancing and singing. And they will have musics in the masjid, and they will be using drums, and they consider this a form of dhikr that bring you closer to Allah. Or even using drugs. And they said that will make you high, so you are spiritually pure. This is absolutely nonsense, and this became an innovation, have no base in religion. Also, al-ulama said that innovation can be in matters whose description has no origin in the religion. Not only that it has no base, no, the description of it. They add certain numbers, certain repetitions, attach this act of worship to certain places. Like Hajj is coming, maybe some of you going. Somebody will tell you, hey, it is good, it's a ritual thing to go into the cave of Mecca where the Prophet used to pray, and to pray over there. And you climb that mountain. There is no such thing like that, to a specific reward for praying in such cave. Or somebody tell you, hey, this land is there is a special reward for you if you do that. Or this timing, like people say Rajab, the month of Rajab has a special virtue, or the month of Sha'ban. All these things that people come up with, or repetition, say, Ya Halim, or actually this is, recently I come across somebody say, if you say, was asked a woman who don't produce milk for breastfeeding. He said, let her say Ya Mateen 14,000 times and the milk will start coming. From where you get that? This is basically, that's a perfect example for a bid'ah that the description has no origin in religion. Innovation can be both in doing an act and leaving act. And this is very tricky. By doing something or leaving something. Hey, I don't drink cold water. Why? I do this as something to please Allah with it. Hey, I don't eat this particular, that's why when Al-Hasan al-Basri was told by someone, he said, I don't eat sweets. Sweets at their time it's called faludaj. فقال له الحسن لماذا؟ قال إني لا أشكر الله عليه شكرا يوافي لذة طعمه. قال يا لكع ابن لكع وهل تؤدي شكر الماء البارد؟ He told him, this is so sweet, so delicious, that I can't thank Allah enough for it. Then Al-Hasan al-Basri said, a loser, do you thank Allah enough for the water that you drink every day? So you should avoid water too. So these kind of action that people do, it's all categorized under the innovations in religion. Also, innovations in religion, al-bid'ah, is in these matters, pay attention to this a little bit. It's in these matters that were invented after the era of the Prophet ﷺ, but their justification existed during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. No obstacles were there to prevent him from establishing them. I'll say that again. إن البدعة هو ما كان سبب هو ما أحدث بعد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وكان سببه قائم في عهده صلى الله عليه وسلم والمانع منه موجود والمانع منه معدوما. That in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, something people invented after the time of the Prophet. Even though there were a justification for this act to exist during the Prophet. And there is nothing to prevent the Prophet ﷺ from doing it. I'll give you an example. If someone today would say, hey, let's change the format of the adhan. Let's make the format of adhan. People today sleep, for example, we will make it 6 times. Why? Because people barely can hear the adhan. We say this is not allowed. Why? What the Prophet ﷺ care about? He said more dhikr to Allah. To say Ashhadu an la ilaha more times. Yeah, people also would like to mention Allah more times during the Prophet ﷺ time. There is nothing prevented the Prophet from doing that. So making it is not allowed. There is a true example which is very beautiful, can explain this very good. During the Umayyads time, the people after Salat al-Eid start leaving, not listening to the khatib, because they don't like the rulers at that time. كان إذا خطب الولي الأمر الناس تمشي, like we see here today. So what the Khalifa did, the Khalifa said, you know what, I'm going to switch. I'm going to make the salah after the khutbah, like Jumu'ah. So like you guys stuck listening to me. You can't go. Can imagine if this khutbah after the salah, Allah knows how many people will stay. So they said, I will do the same in Eid, so I force everybody to listen to me. Al-ulama consider that what innovations in religion. He said, but my intention is good. I want people to listen. We said the Prophet ﷺ also would like people to listen. And still he didn't do it, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. If somebody said, hey, let me celebrate the birthday of the Prophet. Today our kids don't know anything about the life of the Prophet, the story of the Prophet. It's a good thing. Yeah, even the Prophet ﷺ time, the kids would like to know about the story of the Prophet. We would like to know the history of Mecca. We would like to do that as well. The reason exists during the Prophet. Nothing prevented the Prophet from doing it. And still the Prophet ﷺ abandoned it. The Prophet ﷺ never did it. The Prophet ﷺ abstained from it. For you to come and to practice, that's what we call innovations in religion. And that's what the ulama used to differentiate between what it called al-masalih al-mursala fil Islam wal-bid'a al-muhdatha fil deen. Because we believe in certain things can be invented after the Prophet ﷺ for greater reasons. For instance, when the Muslims start building minarets in the masajids, that was not exist during the Prophet ﷺ time. Why? Because the city is simple. But after the expansion of cities, to identify the masjid became something hard. So the people start building mi'dana. The person go all the way up in the mi'dana and call, so the voice will travel louder and farther. The reason for it was not exist in the Prophet ﷺ time. That's why doing it after the Prophet ﷺ was never considered an innovation. During the Prophet ﷺ time, we never had a full mushaf like what you have in your hand today. For a simple reason. Because the Nabi ﷺ keep receiving revelation from his Lord. But after he died, the Muslims start building a mushaf, which is khalas, nobody going to receive any messages from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, one of the things that can identify innovations for you is all innovations in religion are not based on authentic, clear evidence. Most of the innovations will be all justified by saying, it's good. يعني ما فيها شيء. There is nothing wrong with it. That's how they justify it. That's how they make it acceptable. Also, number 3, innovations and innovators are the farthest people from Sunnah. SubhanAllah, people who follow and who always practice innovations in religion, they don't quote the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ much. They don't study the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ much. قال عمر أهل الأهواء أعداء السنن أعيتهم السنة أن يحفظوها فردوها. The people of desire are the enemy of the hadith. They could not memorize it, they could not comprehend it, so they rejected it. أهل البدع دائما يحتجون بالمجمل والمتشابه من النصوص. Innovations and innovators always, the propaganda that innovator use always is based on general text, especially from the Quran. And they will leave the specific text that explain the case. Somebody will go and will say, there is a verse in the Quran say, fight the kuffar, kill the kuffar. So what's the result? Go and kill every kafir. Then he will leave, he take a general text, and he will leave the other text where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explicitly mention who you are allowed to kill, who you are allowed to fight. That's why we have all these innovators and extremist group in the religion. Especially we are in the memory of 9/11, reminding us of this extreme groups who took the religion as justification for their violent acts. Also, البدعة وأهلها ليس لهم سند إلى أصحاب رسول الله. One of the common things about innovations and innovators, that the innovations, you will never find it practiced by the companions. One of the easiest way, if somebody tell you, hey, do this, you just ask, did the Prophet did it? Did Abu Bakr did it? Did Umar ever did it? Uthman, Ali? Does anyone of the companions ever did that? You'll find the answer usually, no. One of the most important things to be careful of, that or too easy to recognize the bid'ah with, that the innovation and innovators always introduced to the community and became popular because it hide under what I call the fake Islamic face. And I mean by that, the people who practice the innovations always try to hide their bid'ah behind the face that they paint, which is being righteous, being religious. So you see the person with a long beard, with a big turban, with certain type of clothes, avoided the dunya. He looks so humble, he looks so religious, and you think, oh, he has it, it must be true. We don't recognize haqq by the way how they look like. Once Ibn Mas'ud was told, so-and-so person, when the Quran is read in front of him, he falls unconscious. He cry until he falls unconscious. He said, he's innovative. Don't come closer to him. He cried from reading Quran. He said, avoid it. The Sahaba read the Quran and never did that. The Prophet read the Quran and he never did that. He cannot have a heart better than the Prophet and the companions. Just leave him alone. What he's trying to do, he tried to basically deceive people by certain action. That's why a lot of young men will be just deceived by these videos that they see online of people maybe with a beard, with look like Islamic dress, even though I don't agree with that terminology, but what's called is known as Islamic dress, and Islamic look in them, using certain big words, and that's how they basically make the innovations popular. Also, innovators usually claim banners and titles other than the Sunnah, other than following the Salaf al-Salih radiallahu anhum. And these names that they adopt and sects that they call themselves follower of is something usually that they will have wala' wa bara' on it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yarzuqna wa iyakum al-fahma fi ad-din wa jannibna wa iyakum al-bid'a'. Alhamdulillah wahdahu was-salatu was-salamu ala nabiyyi ba'dahu wa ba'd. If this is how evil it is, and it is how we can recognize it, why it's so popular, why innovation is so popular. Maybe I mention some of the points, but it's good to go over it quickly, some of the other points as well. One, because it's one of the ultimate goal of the shaitan, so he works so hard to make people fall into it. Because so many times the bid'ah became so popular, as I said, because the people who practice it, the people who introduce it to you, look so religious. So you kind of take their words for it. It is because of the ignorance of Arabic language. We're not familiar. Even the Arab themselves today, who have a pure, like natural Arabic tongue, their familiarity with the language is very bad, very poor, very little. There is few scholars in the community, few scholars in the Muslim Ummah. There is also, with all being not many scholars exist today in the Muslim world, also the scholars, they don't talk much about this issue. They don't warn people enough from the innovations. Also because a lot of people, they don't know the sunnah, so they accept the bid'ah. I'll give you an example. A lot of people, they don't know what to say after they finish the salah. So what happened? People invent certain dua, certain dhikr. They start making all these dua and all these dhikr after the salah, which is not from the sunnah. Simply because they don't know what the Prophet ﷺ said. If they do, they wouldn't do something else. Also because so many of our culture, innovations are embedded in it. So many of Arab culture, Desi culture, African culture, subcontinental culture, you will see so many innovations in religion embedded in this culture, part of the culture. Look at these two opposites, but there is loaded with innovations. When you look at funerals and when you look at marriages. It's so many practices done in the name of the religion, and it's not from the religion of Islam or the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Also, when people start saying, everybody doing this, يعني كل الناس على باطل انت اللي على حق, everybody is wrong and you are the only right person, it cannot be bid'ah, everybody doing it. When people start following this logic, the bid'ah became more popular in the community. Also, when the Muslim community led by ignorant people, and those ignorant leaders, they don't consult, they don't talk, they don't seek advices from the scholars. When rulers and presidents and kings, they don't bring closer to them the people of Sunnah to advise them. When the head of the communities and the organizations, they don't bring closer to them scholars and students of knowledge to advise them if this is right or wrong. That's where innovations will become more popular. And you look at just around you, most of the people, they don't do that. They don't even care. You know, when bid'ah became so popular, because of very sad fact, so many of the innovators and innovations became so popular because the innovators and the people who are practicing, they have good manners. They possess good manners, and I give it to them. While, unfortunately, in so many cases, the people who follow the Sunnah, who Ahl al-Haq, possess bad manners. They are rough, they are aggressive, they are mean, they're not friendly. And indeed, they are not following the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Also, when the people of the Sunnah, they step back. They don't come forward to lead. When you tell the brother, hey, there is an opportunity to give khutbah, to lead the salah, to be an imam, oh, no. So basically, you keep it vacant. So don't blame someone else when they come to take the lead in it. Also, it became so popular because of the media support, the political support, the financial support, millions of dollars invested in innovations and innovators to become so popular. A huge political support internationally and locally for certain groups and certain ideologies. In the end, my brothers and sisters, we're living in America, we're living in Houston, and we have to differentiate between we have to pay attention to the following points. Number one, we have to differentiate between the issues where it's ijtihad, where it's opinions and facts. Whereas someone who practices something you disagree with, but that's not innovations, it is their ijtihad, it is his ijtihad. So you just don't rush to label people as innovators. Only the scholars, only the well-founded student of knowledge who are in the community, who are familiar with the society here, who can make these titles. We don't want to have all these tapes and recording surfacing all over the internet. Oh, Sheikh so-and-so, Medina, Sheikh so in Egypt, Sheikh so-and-so in the middle of nowhere. What do you think of Sheikh Waleed saying this? What do you Sheikh that? And have no clue what is going on here and the issue, all this kind of fun. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. We have to respect other people's opinions, and we cannot use the bid'ah as a weapon to scare people, to express their opinion if it's based on ilm and knowledge. Also, it's not acceptable to give title to one another. The title of innovator is it's a major title to be given to someone, and it should not be given to anyone except those who really truly deserve it. And I think an average Muslim does not have the knowledge to allow him to give that title to someone. You might say this is an innovation, but it doesn't mean he is an innovator. Also, we should recognize that innovations are levels. For instance, someone curse Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, believe Aisha is kafir. It cannot be similar to someone who believes that Ali is better than Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. These two different levels cannot be, all of them Shia and put them in the same level. That's not right. That's not fair. That's not true. That's not right. Also, we have to understand, even with those who practice innovations, those who might disagree with them in branches or even fundamental issues in Islam. Here, as a Muslim who living as a minority, we have a bigger goals to achieve. A common challenges that we facing together. And we have to know how to, based on our alliance and our mutual respect and cooperation in facing these big challenges in front of us. The Islamophobe, the people who hate Islam regardless what group they are just waiting for this moment when they see us scattered, fighting one another, turning our tongue on efforts to break one another. That's what they would like to see. Hey, I'm not saying we should not learn from innovations, but what I'm saying, we don't need to break each other's. We don't need to make the battle, it's between me and my brother who maybe I disagree with him or her because certain innovation that they practice. I think there is a common goal that we all can share and we can all work together. Let's, for example, one of the leading organizations, I like always to give example, CARE. They stand up for people. And they stand up for you regardless of what group that you belong to. You are 100% Sunni or not. Because that's your right. And you deserve that support. You will see, for example, ICNA Relief, another example, which they stand for giving relief and social support regardless of what your background is. Educational programs. And I can go on and on and on. Iman Academy, when you go to register, they don't ask you, are you Sunni 100% or not? They don't make an evaluation of you because this is not where the division comes. No, we as a community here in Clear Lake Islamic Center, we welcome, we help, we support. When someone comes for financial help, we don't ask him, is he follow the Sunnah 100% or not? No, the issue of innovations, we will have that dialogue. We will have this advice between each other, but in the end of the day, we are all, in the end of the day, Muslims, that we stand with one another. My brothers and sisters, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help all of us to stand firm in our religion and to hold into the sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam until we meet him. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها اللهم إني أسألك أن تغفر لنا ولوالدينا اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات اللهم إني أسألك أن تنصر المستضعفين من المسلمين في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها اللهم أنزل علينا في هذا المسجد من بركاتك ورحمتك يا حي يا قيوم اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم إنا نسألك أن تصلح ذرياتنا اللهم إنا نسألك أن تصلح ذرياتنا وتحسن ختامنا وصل اللهم وسلم على نبينا محمد وقوموا إلى الصلاة يرحمكم الله.